All right, this is recording 742. You can find me at christinastation918.com. So I've been very sick for the past couple of weeks. I try to tell myself to make sure I record my podcast as soon as I have something. So even though I write it down in notes in my phone, I don't lose, because it's a catch-22. I write it in my phone, but my phone's not secure. Jean hacks me. And then she steals what I write in my notes. And then she goes and re-records it. And then she acts like she's me and she runs rackets, which doesn't really get her anywhere. It's the world's slowest criminal car chase. We all know that Navy Gal 27, whose first name is Jean, is the perp. And she's got a whole bunch of people paid to lie and steal, and they do all her dirty shit for her. And then she runs and cons everybody and da-da-da-da-da-da. And then everybody knows I have an actual podcast, christinastation918.com, which is where, this recording goes. Okay, this is, like I told you, recording number, I think I said 741. So anyway, and then I also post, my most recent recordings. I've been putting them on YouTube too. So anyway, she is the one committing these crimes. So my whole point of having the podcast is to be able to make reports against her. So she can't get away with committing crime. So she can't get away with racketing it. So it's annoying to witness her using stolen artificial intelligence and to witness and hear and see her in the public, in the environment, control the environment, both physically, like in the regular realm that everybody knows, and with AI. And then also in my brain, listening to her talking to people, trying to con people. It's very frustrating, but I'm like, I have a podcast. People aren't stupid. They know that Jean is a criminal. Jean is only making an ass of herself and the United States of America. And eventually, people that love the United States of America are going to get tired of Jean making asses of the United States of America and start demanding the arrest of Navy Gal 27 and her damn occult. So anyway, okay, so I just want to be clear here on something, which I know you guys obviously know, for those of you guys who have my podcast. So there's a big thing going on in the public right now, and it's been going on with ICE, okay? So that's immigration something enforcement, okay? So it's really big. It's in the news. It's everywhere. From paying attention to the news, I've seen where Jean has propagated those crimes by committing crimes. And I see where she's doing it on both ends, trying to burn the candle at both ends, trying to aggravate and upset people. Okay, so anyway, her and her Manson occult are behind it. Okay, so one thing I want to talk about is when I say ICE, Christina Stacia, when I'm talking about ICE, you have to go to my original recordings. I'm talking about ICE rape, ICE tech. I'm talking about using artificial intelligence on people. So, for example, ICE could be icing people. Okay, so, but it's Jean Roberts and her Manson occult, but she does have fake cop agencies set up and has told people, do anything you freaking want. Rape kids, kidnap kids. I mean, Jean does it. Have a ball. I used to have men in my brain tell me, just pig men, just pig people. I used to have men in my brain tell me, they'd point my eyes to a woman and they'd be like, I had her. And Jean Roberts would do the same thing with my very own coworkers, not talking with them, telling me in my brain. She would burp in my brain, letting me know that she's been fondapalooza. I'm putting it nicely because you know what she does. You know what they do. They've got actual suits and apparatuses. They go to town. Kids and adults. But anyway, so she's got all kinds of people that have access to this technology. And like I've told you before, everybody doesn't use this technology the same way, but everybody that works for Gene Roberts is all using the technology that way, unless they have a way to escape her total manhandle grip and refuse to do anything she frickin' says. They're all just like Gene, and they all do everything Gene says. So, even though everybody around the world has access to AI, doesn't mean everybody's using it Gene Roberts' way. Okay, so I'm bringing this up because I want to talk about ICE in an ICE situation. Okay, so in an immigration event situation, an ICE event situation, and I want to talk about Gene Roberts committing crimes, okay, that are affecting these situations that are big on the news right now. So one is Alex Pretti. Somebody accidentally said the person's name was Alex Perry. I think she was controlling speech. I believe the name is fixed. I don't believe that's the person's real name. I think Gene just likes to rub it in that she used Flashdance as a theme when doing the World Trade Center attack. And Alex was the name of the actress, the lead star actress in Flashdance. That was what her name was, Alex. And then ALX, and then everything with AL. Okay, so anyway, so the name here looks like it's a fake name, like the media chose, but you know who chose it? Gene Roberts. And she thinks it's funny. She's like, I'm going to murder this person. I'm going to use ice rape to do it. I'm going to pull it off. I'm going to racket it. And then I'm going to give him a fake name like Alex Pretti. Just like she assaulted my stepdaughter, and I turned her in for that, using ice on her. And then she has the nerve to name a child an abducted child, or a child that was killed, or a child that was wounded in Israel during the Gaza crisis that Gene Roberts also committed, and she named that child's name Emily Hand. Like, who do you think you are? When do we let women who commit stolen valor in the late 70s, who are the leader of satanic occults, use artificial intelligence on world leaders and countries and help themselves to the world's children and give them permission to act like they're the saviors of children? Why are we allowing Jean to do this? Why are we not executing her? And I know this has to do with hostage situations, and I know we've got a lot of hostages free, but I know there's still a lot more hostages. And it's not just our people. Gene Roberts is holding hostage. She's holding people hostage everywhere. So anyway, so the nerve of this woman and her occult is insane. They're sick out of their mind. And they even talk to me in my brain, and they go, Christina, it's because you're sick. And I'm like, you people are the you are the grime of the planet. You're lying out your ass. I don't know who you're manipulating and conning, but there's 8 billion people who have my podcast now. So it's probably pretty slim to none at this point that you're able to con anyone. I mean, I'm not even going to respond to your stupidity. I'm going to turn in Gene Roberts, your leader, and the CIA can sort the rest of you out. So anyway, so this person's name is that. So what the person's real name is, even though we don't have a society, okay, obviously you guys know their real name is just as important as this fake name, okay, or the safety name. Because the names are very significant. But even the safety name, she's using AP, Associated Press. Okay, and then you can tell she also committed the murder of Renee Good. Okay, so Alex Pretti and Renee Good go together. Okay, she is using, what she's doing here is a couple of different things. And this is an example of how she is using my life and my family's life and memories from our lives, and she's committing terrorism with it. And then she's trying to racket it. And then also terror events I would consider in the past like 2 or 3 years. I don't know what Russia or Ukraine considers that I would consider it, or USA would definitely consider it terrorism. I mean, it's unbelievable what she tried to pull, and they were so pissed. But I mean, this is gonna go again. So obviously, you guys getting pissed. What did not work? Obviously, she needs to be executed. So anyway, so Alex Pretti, Renee Good. So what she's using here is she's using the Lost Boys. Okay. So the Lost Boys are I don't know them that well. They're a 90s hip hop group. Okay? And they sing a song, My Shorty, Renee, okay? So she's using the Lost Boys as a reference. I think she's also using Los Lobos, okay? Now, she killed the lead singer of Los Lobos, which was Richie Valens. She killed him in a plane crash. She killed the Big Bopper, and she killed, who else did she kill? I decoded it. Okay. So anyway, so she's making a reference to plane crashes, and then Minneapolis, and then the Twin Cities in Minnesota. So she's making 9/11 references. So she's acting like she's me again. She's committing these crimes. Then she plans on going on the other end of it and acting like she's me again in several different manners, and acting like she's a spokesperson for me. And then she tries to racket it, or she directly acts like she's me, and she goes and talks to authorities and makes more threats at them. Okay, so it's just a big, gigantic fucking game to Gene Roberts. So you can see where she's using the World Trade Center attack as a theme in here. So if you use the combination of Alex Pretti, Renee Good, and Lost Boys, you can see Pretty Boys. Remember my podcast where I told you what Gene's into, Pretty Boys? And then, PB is led. And then Pretty Good Boys, and then she's using Good Old Boys. And then you can see Ol is a part of Lost. So something else that she's doing in these murders, and she committed these murders, and she's trying to racket it, and that inciting that's happening in Minneapolis, she and her people are behind it somehow. And it's either by word of mouth and manipulation and conning, or it's by using artificial intelligence on people. Okay, but Gene Roberts committed those crimes. So another thing that she's doing here is there was something else that happened near the home suites. Okay, she was making, and this is my notes, they're kind of old, from like a week or two. I told you I've been sick. She was threatening the mayor. I caught her threatening the mayor. And then she's making a reference to St. Paul, Minnesota. She's making a reference to Paul Walker. Okay, so she's also making a reference to, and I don't remember how I decoded this or figured this out. Oh, I remember what it was now. They were putting up barricades in the street, okay? And it was really odd what the barricades were. And so I'm studying the scenes on TV, and I'm like, okay, this is intentional. And then I realized, based on the scenes on the TV, what she was doing. So remember when I told you how she gave ICE access, artificial intelligence access to, everybody thought it was Russian soldiers. It wasn't Russian soldiers. It was Ukrainian soldiers. Russia responded first, and they took charge as if they were Ukraine, thank God. And then they were like, no, they finally got the footage. They're like, no, those were Ukrainian soldiers. Those weren't Russian soldiers. But anyway, she got a hold of Ukrainian soldiers in the Ukraine, okay, in the snow, and she was flirting with them and messing with them, okay, and they did not know who they were talking to, these poor guys, I swear to God. They did not know who they were talking to, some dirty ass old hippie domestic terrorist occult from North Florida. And Jean and her nasties were on just having a good old time with them, okay? So anyway, these poor soldiers, they got their butts chewed out. They're like, no, 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 no. And I haven't had a connection to them since. They've signaled to me in my brain a couple times, we're staying connected to you, but we know who you are, Christina. We know who Jean is. We're not falling for any hijinks, okay? So there's been no more funny business since then, okay? So that part of it's kind of funny, okay? But Jean, that's her way, is like putting moves on people, hitting on people. Okay. And so she likes to get connected to soldiers, and she likes to work their sympathy, and she likes to work them, period, if you know what I'm saying. And she's got a whole bunch of paid women that try to work them too. So, because if you soften them and they're pliable, then they're stupid, then they do anything and they fall for anything. Okay. And most soldiers and most guys are wise to this now, but they weren't wise to it. Okay. So anyway, so these Ukrainian soldiers, and this is happening in my brain. Literally, I see this in brain visuals in my brain. I'm like, what the holy hell? So the soldiers, they go out, they're like, I don't know how to explain this. Okay. So imagine a snowy scene. Okay. Snow on the ground. And then you see just like the roof, maybe like a square roof, like their snow is up to the roof, okay? And so they have to open to get out of the building that they're in. They have to opening the door. They can't just walk out onto the snow. They're buried under the snow. Okay, so they had to hoist or lift up out the door, and they had to hoist up under the door or open the door somehow and dig out like a snow tunnel, to reach the top of the snow. So this is what they did. So they laid out, there was probably I would say I don't know, 5, 6, 7 of them, maybe 8 of them. I don't know. I would say at least 5 of them. So they were facing out, they were facing towards me. And they were facing towards me, and they were out over the snow. They were in front of the building that they were in. Okay. And so I can see them all in the snow, and they've got guns. Okay. They've got weapons. They've got huge weapons, and they've got all weapons pointing out, and they're smiling, having a good time. This is snow soldiers in their element. They know what they're doing. They're having a good time. They don't realize what's going on. So then, she obviously tricked them into doing this, right? So what Jean Roberts does is she superimposes herself on the right side of these soldiers. She superimposes herself, and she leans, and I'm talking about Jean Jernigan Roberts, NavyGal27 at yahoo.com. She leans over all of them, she wants to smother all of them. She's I need you all and all at one time. Got to give you guys hell. But, you got to in turn give the United States hell, because Jean Roberts needs to be arrested. And I would give the United States hell for the same thing. Why are we letting Jean get away with this? This is asinine. So anyway, but that's really how Jean is. She'll attack you, and then she wants to go mother you and protect you and love you. So Jean is literally leaning over all these soldiers, and she's sticking out her tongue and doing hand signal, if you're doing hand signals, peace signals, or all the different hand signs you make. And so she thinks it's freaking funny. So this is in my brain, right? And I'm oh my God. So anyway, you got to see all previous podcasts. They're on here. You can go ChristinaStation918.com. I'm going to go over it all again. So anyway, so then I'm going through a podcast. I'm making the reports, and stuff is being handled. And anyway, so then later on, Russia and the United States government comes back to me, and they're well, that was Ukrainian soldiers. It wasn't Russian soldiers. and they're talking to me in my brain and mental telepathy. And then they said, you know what she was doing, don't you? And then they signaled to me what she was doing without like saying what she was doing, and which I'm not going to say what she was doing, but we all know, those who know DBO, they know what Jean was doing. So anyway, so then they were like, then people that were on got even more mad, got even more pissed. Okay. So anyway, so what she did here with the creating the barricades in the streets of Minnesota snowy, was she was icing people to put trash cans, they were like plastic trash cans, as barricades in the street. And when she was putting them in the street, I'm like, what is she freaking doing? And I know this is intentional, because it's being signaled to me in my brain, this is intentional. Look what this bitch is doing. So then it gets flashed to me in my brain what she's doing. She's trying to do a reenactment of that. And I'm like, what is she saying? Is she saying that there are bombs there? Because Gene Roberts, shortly after that, with the whole thing I told you with the Ukrainians, she superimposes herself on my back porch, okay? I'm here in Oklahoma. I live on 79th Street. You know, I'm in green country. So, on my back porch, okay? And this is in my brain. I wake up and my brain is lit up and this is what I see in my brain. She's standing on my back porch. She's got a huge bomb. I went and researched what kind of bomb it was. She's got a huge bomb on the freaking back porch, and it's taller than me, almost as tall as her. She's like 6'2", and she's standing next to it with a big ass fucking smile on her face. And then one time she dropped a bomb out of my living room in my brain, a big huge bomb, and it was similar to the bomb that comes out of the ceiling at the World War II museum. And I've also seen actual bombs of the same size underground in Oswego. I know that there are bombs there. So I'm like, what? So I'm like seeing this with the trash cans, and I'm like, what is she doing? Is she sending people on a wild goose chase? What the hell is this? Is she saying that there's bombs? What is she doing? What is she fucking doing? Why is this woman not arrested? So anyway, I wanted to report all of that. So, there's more. I've got a lot more to do. So I'm going to work my way through the evening and see if I can get all the recordings up. If I can, I'll be doing this throughout the week, but I'm going to end this recording here.